Hello everyone, welcome back to a new Bitcoin and Ethereum video. Yes, it's been a while. That's because I had to work at McDonald's, of course. No, just kidding. Anyways, let's get into it right now. So if we look at Bitcoin at a really big scale, the 3-month candle chart, we can see the 3 months we're in right now is pretty red, as we all know. We went from 126k or something to 80k, which I did mention a long time ago. But yeah, these things happen. They have happened in the past. But now, of course, the question becomes, how far will it dip? Because in this bull market, it dipped about 80% almost, which would actually be around this point over here at about 27k. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, but in my opinion, is not very likely, and especially not in the short term, of course. So let's zoom in a bunch. So let's go to the daily chart. I still have all my drawings from before, and they're still valid, but let's just hide everything for a second so you can kind of see what I'm trying to tell you. Now, this was a range, as you saw earlier. We did test back on that range, so the resistance became support. Now, we did make a higher high compared to this high, and so far, we're making a higher low compared to this low here. Now, this on its own is a little range, as you can see, and we're still in that range. Now, if we zoom in a little bit, there's a couple points we want to gain to make sure we go back up. So let's start with the positive outcome. So let's get rid of these. And on the daily chart, we have to gain this point as well as this point, and of course, this one. Now let's focus more on the first two. Now, as usual, these are drop-offs. The more you zoom in, the more clear it becomes. This one's actually a very decent confirmation. You could have had a beautiful short here, because you had a low, you had a high, you lost a low, and then you didn't gain this high. And yeah, that would have been a beautiful short. Ended up being 13%. Obviously, realistically, you might have been stopped out here at 8%, which is still a beautiful trade. Let's focus on the now. We're in a local uptrend here. So as long as we stay above this low, preferably before these wicks, and we make a higher high, we can kind of staircase our way up to the first real resistance point at 92.7k, which from here is 6% up. Now, we had a little bit of resistance here because this used to be a local support, so it's a logical reaction that it's now a little resistance. This is not a crazy resistance, so I think we're just going to go through here. Now, I think once you get past these, you actually go towards this one really quickly. This one's more compressed, so this one's probably more legit at 95.5k. Now, I think truly if you go past that, this one is a little bit of a resistance, maybe, but after that, you're definitely going to look at 106k. So it can turn around pretty quickly. And I mean, if you see this on your chart, obviously not in such a straight line, but you get the point, then the panic will be way less, because obviously now the panic is worse, because like, oh my god, we've gone down 36% and blah blah blah. But this is actually one of those moments where you buy Bitcoin because you're at a low point. You don't buy at the all-time high. So yeah, after this point, obviously this drop off, you need to gain that one, and then this local one, and then boom, we're back here at 120 plus k, and then we can go for new all-time highs. Now, the downward scenario, let's look at that. So let me get rid of this. Now, let's say locally we flush down to the liquidity, which is basically all the sell orders, which big money needs to fill their big orders. So let's say we flush down, a bunch of their buy orders get filled. We might literally like shoot back up afterwards. But if not, because we're talking about the bad scenario here, we could see something like 75k, 67k. And now for the worst case on the recent price action, we could go down all the way to around 51.7k, which from here is another 40% down. Obviously, if we lose that range, it becomes way worse. But you really should not be focused on things so far away. And the thing is, Bitcoin is in such a different state right now. And what I mean by that is that a lot of the recent money in Bitcoin has not been from paper hands, consumers, but more from like the diamond hands, Wolf of Wall Street big company type people. So what they do is hold stocks, and in this case, a little bit of crypto. So it's very unlikely to see anything as low as the 16K that we saw last time. Now 27K, I said it before, it's not impossible, but we would definitely be talking about, let's see how long this took to get to the low. 430 days. So that would be December 2026. Obviously, nothing from the past can prove the future. Nobody knows what's going to happen to Bitcoin at a certain price and date. And if they claim they do, then run away from them because they're lying. But yeah, from the top, that would be around minus 80%, which would be exactly the same as this last time. But yeah, now the question you might have, of course, is what do I do? Do I sell my Bitcoin now? Do I buy Bitcoin now? And this is not financial advice. I have to say that, obviously. But what I do personally is this. So every check mark would be a buy and every cross would be a sell. So let's say we have 500 bucks of Bitcoin. Now I've been in Bitcoin for many years, but let's just say we started buying around here based on this little range, right? So we bought here, then we went down. We didn't buy with the full $500, just to make it clear, okay? So let's say we bought with $250 as a big start, right? Now we went all the way down here. There was this top. I didn't want to get front run. So let's say I had a buy order here, but it never reached it. And then it went to 120K. You don't want that. This is not really for trading. This is more for like, well, swing trading, I guess, but investing for the short term. So it went down to here twice. So let's say we bought somewhere here, right? So our average buy is around where we are actually right now, interestingly enough. But then we went up. So we got to this range. Now you might want to sell this last one because in the short term, you've made 14%. Now what I do is, let's say for some reason, you've already put in the 500 with these two little orders, right? Now for the long term, I definitely wouldn't recommend that. But let's say for now, our 500 is now in. So this was 250, this was 250. So what I actually do is I keep that $500 of Bitcoin, in this case, a rounded 500 number. Now you don't have to do this. And you can act on the bigger swings or you can sell the whole position, but then you're really trading. So let's say you sold 14%, which was the profit. And then at the top of this range, we sold here. Not at the top, it's not realistic. So from here at the $500 mark again, because we sold the profit, we gained another 14%. So we sell another 14%, which is going to stay at the sideline. Now then we actually go down, let's say 6.75%. So what you can do is buy a little bit with the profit you sold earlier. So you're just rebuying what you sold here for a cheaper price, right? Now then we go up in a pretty aggressive line. Now if you're active behind the buttons, you can keep your sell order and push it up with the price and you would have been stopped out here. Right? So you basically sold everything that is above the $500 Bitcoin mark, right? You're keeping that around $500 of Bitcoin. Now you keep basically doing that. Now once we have a dip like now, you'll see that to keep that rounded $500 of Bitcoin number, you keep buying, but you don't sell. So your total investment will be more than just $500. Now, part of this would be the profit that you made along the way. And keep in mind, this is for investing, but you can also use this as like a loose form of trading if you can't be there at all times. Now, of course, on the way up, you would sell a little bit here, sell a little bit there, and there. And if you want, you can take out the extra money you invested because now it's just sitting in regular dollars anyway, and you'll have some extra profit for when the price goes down again. Now, just as an example, okay, this is not realistic, but let's say you made 35% profit, you sold 35%. So you're back to just $500 at this point because the rest of it is sitting on the sideline. Now from here, you lost 30% of that $500. Now you could have probably used your profit to buy back all the Bitcoin. Now you're sitting at $500 of Bitcoin back here again, and you have some profit left. And that's a very minimal risk way of doing this. Obviously from here back up here is 43%. So you're gaining more, even though it's the same distance in terms of price, but you're not investing more, so the risk is lower and lower. Until, let's say, you have $1,000 in the account without you having to spend more than $500 in total, you could take out your $500 and do this trading purely with your profit. And that's basically what I'm doing right now, because I've been in the game for a couple years. Now, I've been yapping way too long, but this is basically what I am doing. Again, not financial advice. I'm just gonna buy on the way down. Maybe we go up from here, you don't know. Maybe we go up from here, you don't know. And in the worst case, maybe we go up from here in the long run, you don't know. You always invest what you can afford to lose and that you don't mind keeping in, let's say, Bitcoin for 2 years or something, I don't know. So should you panic right now? No, not really. Did you start on your crypto journey at the top, because that's when most people are talking about it, like, look how much money I made, blah blah blah, and you're down 31%? Don't panic. And let's say you invested $500 and you're down to 31%. You could invest a bit more, again, only if you want and if you can afford to lose it. Let's say you invested double of it, you'd only need to gain, let's say, 20% to get to the same point. You could take that extra money out, and now your average buy is at $104,000 instead of $126,000. You can lower your average price by buying lower, even though you already bought here. Now your average buy, depending on the size of what you bought, is now here. And this is inappropriate for YouTube, so I'm going to take that away. It's not magic. It's not predicting the future. It's sticking to your plan, and my plan is with price action, because it has proven itself every time in the past. And yeah, Bitcoin is here to stay for at least another 5 to 10 years. I don't know. Was this the all-time high of this cycle? I don't think so, but also I don't know. Now let's finally move on to Ethereum. And to be honest, the story isn't even that crazy different. It does have an ETF. We did barely make a new all-time high. But again, there's more growth potential for Ethereum because the market cap is way smaller than Bitcoin. So it's more risky, but it has more reward. It's always risk reward. And Ethereum is a very useful coin, to be fair. But yeah, let's look at the recent price action. As you would have guessed by now, probably, this is an important part. This is an important part. Same here. These kind of fall into the same one, to be honest. And you have this little drop off before the proper, like, top drop off area. And yes, on the short term, you obviously have to gain these two, which are very close. This is a pretty sharp drop off, so I'm sure if you zoom in, there's something here. So yeah, the steps for that is 8%, 17, 25, 35, 44, 55, and around 67%. I'm sorry, I can't stop doing that. Now for the downside from here, I'll just do it without the drawings. It is 8.5%. It is 18%, a chance of 27%. It's 38%, and realistically 46% down from here. But again, they also have an ETF, so realistically 38% down from here could be possible, but it would also be very realistic, especially if you look all the way back here, that the low, which you can never predict, of this cycle could be 2170, basically. So minus 25% from here. So yeah, let's say minus 27 from this point to potentially 70% on the upside. Now, this is not a guarantee, nothing is, so always do your own research and be responsible with your money, of course. Now, in terms of stocks, nothing has really changed. Now, altcoins have definitely gone down harder. So yeah, let me know if you want me to cover stocks or altcoins, and definitely let me know in the comments what your plan is with Bitcoin and Ethereum. If you want more updates than just from my videos, I do have a Discord linked down below where we can discuss all sorts of stocks, crypto, and everything. I do post there more frequently than in terms of videos. So yeah, again, thank you for watching. See you next time.